Hi guys, it's Jonathan Chown here with JChownGolf at Crondon Park Golf Club in Essex again. And today what we're going to talk about, two simple ways that we're going to be able to hit up on the driver way more consistently. No more of them going straight down and being a good couple degrees down with your angle of attack and skewing it out there, hitting it low and short. So we're going to have two quite nice simple things: hit up and bomb that driver. So before we talk about that, make sure you like, subscribe and hit that bell button again to make sure you're notified every time I put out a video. So what we're going to talk about, driver. We want to be in here. I've got a very high tee, so you're going to be seeing it definitely. Is we want to be making sure that we're hitting up on the driver. We all know that we're hitting up of a higher tee. We've got to hit up on it if we want that lower spin, higher launch. Hitting up on it has many benefits, but what I see daily is people just chopping down on their driver, hitting it almost kind of like an iron. We want to make sure we're hitting up. So there's a couple keys we really need to focus on here, and we're going to do most of this from our point of view. So let's cut straight away to a point of view, and one, we're going to talk about what we need to do and then what we can do, let's say drill wise and let's say feel wise, to fix that downward angle attack and hit it more up. So guys, hitting up on the driver here. So some key things we really need in there. Let's talk about what I see more commonly for people who struggle to hit up on the golf ball, because we're going to first talk about setup and the influence that's going to have, especially when it comes to ball position. So something I see very common is this ball being too far back for driver, too far back. Even though this is still at the front of my stance, I really see quite commonly really the ball almost being just inside the left foot, or let's say more kind of almost forward of middle if we have an extreme case. Now this, just like we would do with irons, that's going to cause us to get too much on top, shift too hard, so really our center's getting too far over the ball, and then we're going to be chopping down, going underneath the driver. Unless we excessively tilt back, that's the only way we're going to hit up on that driver. So what we need to do differently, first things first, if ball position isn't forward enough, we're not going to really be primed to hit up on it. So a good little setup I like to do, a good little routine to go through as we're going up to that ball, to get yourself set up every single time how we want to. So I will start with my 2 feet here quite close together, and then I will make a very small step with my lead foot, so for me my left foot, and a bigger step with my right foot. Now you can see, where's that ball? More off my big toe there. Now for the height of tee I've got, that's more ideal. It's more ideal to be with that ball a little bit more on the big toe. So again, what I'm doing there, small step, big step to get myself. Now you can see how far in front that ball actually looks way further in front, because what this is going to do, it's going to help us get our low point a little bit earlier and then rise up, so we're hitting that ball naturally on the up. So we can see here that our center of our pivot is actually behind the ball to start off with. If we can keep our pivot nicely behind that golf ball as we're going with driver, we're going to hit up on the ball quite nicely. We're going to be able to get our low point a little bit behind and then raise up. Now conversely, if we're more in the middle of our stance, or let's say where a 5-iron position will normally be, so a little bit more forward, it's going to be really hard for us to get that low point quite early. If anything, we'll level out or hit a couple degrees on the down. So we want to make sure that this ball is nicely at the front of our stance there. So that's key number 1. We need that ball position to be more forward, because we'll meet the low point of our swing earlier and we'll be more hitting on the up. Now number 2, what we've got to do, this is going to be more talking about a movement coming down that I very rarely see. Now this movement is all called side bend. So I'll show you this from the other angle after this point of view. So this is when we're bending. So see how my head is kind of getting a little bit more back? It's not going back because I'm shifting my head backwards. It's going back because I'm getting my trail shoulder. So for me, my right shoulder is getting closer to my hip. It's getting closer to my right hip. You can see as I do that, if I get that quite extreme, it's going to aid me again to hit more up on the ball. We want this more right side bend or trail side bend, getting that right shoulder as we're rotating going down to be getting closer to my trail hip. That again is going to aid me to hit more up on that golf ball. So really, we need that thought of having that trail side bend, right shoulder getting closer to our trail hip. Now we're not going back, we're not leaning back on our back leg, we're not doing that at all. We're just still shifting our weight, shifting our pressure forward, but we're keeping our center back, keeping that shoulder going down to over that right hip, my trail hip there. That's going to aid me when I'm doing that to hit more up on the golf ball. So if I can get that trail shoulder down, I'm going to be aiding that with a ball position more forward to hit up on the ball. So really, for the basics of how to hit up on it, that's what we've got to do. Those are two little things where if we don't have either of them, we're going to find it extremely difficult to hit up on the golf ball. So ball more forward, more trail side bend coming into the ball, right shoulder getting close to the hip as we're rotating. So great. Now we're going to do the simplest drill that I'd expect probably everyone would know if you watch a lot of golf YouTube. So, and that is head cover. Of course, classic. So head cover. Now what we're doing with the head cover, we're putting it just a little bit in front of the ball, so we've got a good decent gap there. Now the better we get at this, the closer we can move it. So at the moment I'm going to have this probably set up just outside of grip's worth. So I'm having a nice feedback drill to hit it up. So we know now, yep, I want ball position more off that big toe. So again, little step, big step. That's going to also help me tilt my shoulders. Again, I'll show that from the other angle. So tilting my shoulders back nicely. That's going to happen nicely, naturally when we do little step, big step. So, and from there, we know we want to get a little bit more right side bend coming into the ball. And that's going to help us hit more on the up. So let's just do a little one here. Hopefully I don't hit that. That'll be embarrassing. So let's do that. Really make sure we're hitting nicely on the up. Ball forward, right side bend. Let's do a little one. Good. Nicely on the up here. Quite out the hill bars. Really exaggerating it to hit over there. So I really obviously didn't want to hit that. So that'll be a great kind of feedback drill as well to go and pair with this. If we can get the understanding of what we need to do to hit more on the up, pair with a good drill, then we're doing everything we can to be able to fix that problem. So let's go back to the other camera angle and we'll have another little look at these things, just so you can see what the actual body movement looks like. Now you know what it looks like over the ball. We'll have a much better chance of repeating it when we're hitting our golf shots. So guys, well, we can see the key points from that point of view angle was, yes, we need that ball position a little bit more forward. So if we're having that ball position more forward, we're going to be reaching the bottom of our arc earlier to the lowest point, and then we're going to be naturally hitting more up. And we could also see there with that little procedure we went through. So we're going from small step, big step, because we can see there how the influence on our shoulders as well that has us tilting at address, which we need to do to be able to hit up again. That helps with that right side bend coming into the ball as well, which we'll talk about. But we know there, if we're there, we're going to get into a lower point going there with that ball position more forward. We're going to have that lower point happen earlier behind the ball, so then we'll naturally be able to raise back up with that driver and hit on the up. So we know that ball position difference. All we've got to think about now is the right side bend. So we know as we're coming into the ball, like we see with all the top players in the world, they've all got this nice right side bend as we're coming through the ball. We're not necessarily backing back onto our trail side. We're still keeping ourselves rotating with pressure forward, but we are just making sure our trail shoulder's getting closer to our trail hip as we're coming back, which then aids again this upward angle of attack. Really important. Don't see that with many golfers at all for your average golfer. Really getting that trail side bend coming up there is going to help you tremendously with driver. So how that looks from the down the line, that type of look there, you can see how my shoulder's getting close to my hip there. You can see naturally because of that, my right elbow is more bent because it has to be. I'm not going to be extending out then. It's going to have another good benefit for that. So what we can see there as well, good little drill to do. So just the classic, putting that head cover more forward. But it's the thing when we see a lot of people working on this, they're not doing the other things. They're not getting that ball position more forward, and they're not having that trail side bend going in there. So ball more forward, when then we can make sure this drill works. So if I clip a one down there, so I'm making sure that ball's nicely in the front of my stance, opposite my big toe, gonna get that trail side bend, and then I can have a good drill where I'm gonna be benefiting from it. So let's try one there, nice soft one. Good, good. So that's what we've really got to go and do. We've really got to go and work on these little key points. then on that drill nicely, and then we'll be good to go with hitting up on that ball and maximising our launch as good as we can and getting the most out of our ball speed. So guys, if you like that video, you found it helpful, please press like, please subscribe, and as well hit that bell button to be notified every time I put out a video. So let's start hitting up on the ball and making the most out of our swing speed, getting the most out of our ball speed.